Hey everybody, Kimberly here, and I am excited to share with you my review of Era. This is a game that, yes, took a very long time to get to backers and to get to players' hands. Now, I'm not going to talk about that or the Kickstarter campaign or the fulfillment or anything. I am simply going to review the quality of the game that I have on my table right now, which, yes, my husband did back on Kickstarter and receive. We've got 8 decks of cards here because, as it says here, a historical card game. Not necessarily the most exciting like description on the box, I'll tell you that much. It's not like a historical card game. It's a card game where your decks are set in history and you are essentially going to duel each other with your asymmetrical decks. And I have to say this system is incredibly clever, very fast, and more importantly, fun. This game is fun. I had as much fun playing this with high emotions as I do when I play any Undaunted system. Now, when I play the Undaunted system, I am essentially crazy. I am a crazy person, and it's really fun, but it's also this kind of like you've got a long-term strategy. You also have hand-to-hand or round-to-round tactics, things that you are trying to do in your turn to strengthen your particular faction and, of course, attack and thwart the plans of your opponent. Now, I'm talking about this game in a 2-player situation. I am probably only going to play this game in a 2-player setting. It does go 2 to 4. There are multiplayer games and how you play that and set it up, but what I'll explain to you here will essentially be the same for multiplayers, but I'm just talking about it in a 2-player situation. So like I said, players are taking a faction. For example, if you look out here, I've got the 8 with one of the representative persons that's going to, populate that world. So I've got Hitman, you can guess here. This is kind of like Prohibition times, I believe. I've got Hitman. Oh no, okay. Prohibition is somewhere else, I believe. Al Capone already. But I've got my Hitman, KGB. Oh, this is my spy. This is my Kremlin. You can see all these cards. Launch orders. Oh boy, missile base. You can get the theme, you can get the vibe by just shifting or sifting through that deck. Al Capone's going to be my Prohibition. And each one of these decks, so I got Bail, I got Booze Trucks, I got City Control, I got the Docks, I got the Mobsters. Holy moly, right? You can totally get the feel for it. Wild West with the Sheriffs. The Pharaoh, right, in Pyramid and in Egyptian times. I've got storehouses and architects and taskmasters and slaves and temples and things like that. Crusade Knights, of course, the Crusades. I've got Adams, kind of like the founding of the U.S. Government. Neanderthal, all the way back to the Ice Age. And JFK with the space race. So these are all the 4 that I got. There's even more. I'll tell you right now because I don't want to forget. The core of this game is these. You essentially have your expansions. You've got your Inventions and the Mayan deck. You've got the Renaissance and the Roman deck, the Samurai, Tycoon, World War I, in addition to the core you get with the game, but also the decks that I've got here as my expansion or my bonus add-ons. These are what players play with. They pick one, the other person picks another. In my case, what we did was I said, okay, I'm picking 2 decks, and then my husband got to pick who got which one of us. And so then later he picked the decks, and then I got to pick which one I wanted to play with, and so forth. So it was really fun to kind of like do the kind of like I cut, you choose, but they're all so interesting. So it's fun, it's fast. This is 30 to 90 minutes, and I'll tell you right now, we were on the shorter end of it. Our games were about 30 minutes long, and the second we finished one, we wanted to jump into another deck, and we wanted to see how each deck really played and what its strengths were, what its weaknesses were, and how to essentially combat your opponent with their deck, with your deck. And it was always, again, so specific to what you were doing. Now, there are some concepts and some mechanics that of course go from game to game. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab 2 of these decks, and then I will set this up so you can see essentially a first round, essentially how the game functions and what's at stake, because this is a really dynamite, in my opinion, two-player game, even though again it goes 2 to 4. Okay, so when players get their deck, they are going to identify certain parts of it. So you're going to look at your deck and you're going to essentially go down until you see the cards that have the red outline on the left side. And you are going to take these cards out. There are 10 of them. And you're going to give those cards to your opponent. They come from your deck. They are in your world. And your opponent is going to use those cards to essentially attack your deck with. You're also going to find that there are locations. And these locations are going to be placed sideways or landscape when your other cards are going to be played portrait. But these cards are going to be shuffled into your deck, and you are going to give your deck a thorough shuffle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to essentially get this guy set up here. I'm going to go through, and what I've done is I've taken Al Capone from our Prohibition era, and I am setting them against the KGB. I'm going to see which mobster team will come out supreme. So again, I've got here are the cards that are going to thwart those folks. I'm going to put them in their deck. And then here are the cards right here for the locations. And I will say right now, did you see that? There are a differing number of cards and abilities. There were so many of those location cards that you've got up here, but there were only 3 for our other deck. So different number, different abilities, different triggers. It's going to be really, really cool. So again, then these guys are just going to shuffle into here. So give me just a minute. I am simply going to shuffle up the entire deck for both of these, and then we are going to jump into it. All right, so the decks are shuffled and ready to go. Players just need a space in front of them to place cards in certain sections. And you need to just know that there are a couple tokens. These are essentially going to be wild tokens that are going to allow you to use them in a variety of ways. Very, very good. The wheat tokens allow you to essentially draw extra cards if you exhaust those wheat tokens and essentially make fallow that particular wheat generating card. These are the victory point tokens, so to speak. They're progress. And if a player ever has 15 on their turn, they win. So you get 15 tokens, game over. And then these are exhaustion. We'll talk about those exhaustion tokens. There are 3 ways to exhaust yourself. But these destroy tokens are going to be put on cards that you attack and destroy that also show this progress symbol. And if you do 3 of those on your opponent's cards, then you win the game. So you could do an attack strategy, you could do a progress strategy. But those are going to be the 2 ways that you trigger the end of the game and win. So it is sudden death. Okay, so the very first player, though, essentially has to take fewer cards in their hand, which means fewer actions or possibilities because they're starting. So the advantage is you go first, but you have 6 cards to draw, but the normal card draw for a turn is 8. So this player over here is going to draw their 6 cards, and what they do is they draw all 6, but they don't look at them. You're not allowed to look at them. And now you get to place them into a variety of places. You can put cards face down into a build pile, in which every card is a build point when you want to build a card in your hand. So let's say I want to put down here 4 cards from my hand into my build pile, and I want to keep these 2 cards. There's another space in this corner where you put your conflict cards, essentially your pile to build essentially to enact a conflict. Right now, my opponent doesn't have any cards out there, so I may not want to invest in that early on, especially with only 6 cards. So what that means is now I'm going to flip over these 2 cards, and I'm going to hopefully be able to build them. Now let's take a look. These are both the attack cards, the conflict cards. And it looks like I've got defense missile, and I've got CIA. Now, there is no restriction in the name for me to place them. Sometimes cards need keys, like this down here. I need a B key for me to unlock all of these attacks for my defense. However, I can still play it. It costs 2 cards to play, and this card costs 1 card. Now, if I get another CIA card, I can pay 2 to splay it in the same column with this card, gaining the bonus on this side. The first card gives me this bonus, and then that line says anything after will give me this bonus. These are the defense for my opponent to attack if they want to clear these cards out of my access. And I think, honestly, I'm just going to build both of them and keep them in my conflict area by paying 1 card and then by paying 2 cards. And now I've got 1 card left in my build, and then I simply put these cards right here. Wow, I missed this chance. Now, here's the thing. Oh, an Al Capone and import sales. Oh boy, I'm missing all these things. But that's part of the game. You are essentially choosing cards to be money face down or cards face up. Now, this says how many cards are in the deck of that type. So just because I missed this possible opportunity, there's still going to be some more of those cards in there. And the same thing goes for my import sales. So these cards all go into my discard pile, and I'm going to put my discard pile over here for now. Normally your discard pile is over here, but I'm just going to put them off so that we don't get too many cards out here. That's it, but we're going to go to the next player, and then once we start the second round, you're starting to check for income, and you're starting to check for points and gathering resources, and then you do the card dealing. So there are a couple stages before you go, but we haven't gotten to that point yet. So there's 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this player is going to take their 8 cards, and again, they're going to do the same thing. Do they want to put cards into their conflict pile to attack with? Do they want to put cards into build? How many cards do they want into their hand? So the more cards you put into your hand, the more variety you get. However, if you don't build cards from your hand, they go into your discard pile. So there might be a way for you to you want variety, but then you're not able to build everything because you can only build as many cards as you have in your build pile. So this player is going to take a look and maybe put 5, and then take a look at 3. Let's do the same thing where we did with the other team. We're going to go up here, put those cards in that build pile, and take a look at the wow! Oh my gosh. Okay, so here we go. This one says A key is unlocked for them, but the B key on the other person's team would be unlocked, which would be insanely good for me if I'm playing this player that has 3 Bs that unlock. So by unlocking A for 15 points, they would be unlocking B for their opponent. So you're trying to figure out what would be really good for that. And then here are the other 2. Revolutionary and Missile Base. This costs 7, way too much to afford right now. The person only has 5, but they could build the Missile Base in hopes to unlock it for, if they get the A key, 4 victory points they could earn at the start of their turn once this is unlocked. So unfortunately, this person got a little unlucky with their cards here. They're going to put that in their discard pile. They're going to build this card by paying 1, 2, 3 cards. Again, we don't know what they are. We found out, oh, communism, what a good card. Look at this. Gives you some symbols, and one of the reasons I'm kind of bemoaning these location cards, I call them locations, but they're simply resource cards, is because, I'm going to save these 2 and keep them out. So this player's turn is done. Now, I'm going to explain something that didn't happen just yet, but could possibly happen. So these cards never cost anything to put out. So this person puts out that card, and it just stays out there. Now, it can't be attacked, and it just generates resources as long as you have a pair of those symbols in some way down below. Now, this card says it's got 2, and if I start stacking Kremlin cards, which this is a unique card, you can only stack them and have 1 unique card in a column. Unique is this little star symbol right there. You can only have 1 unique card out in your personal area. Then every time I start the round, I look at resources. This would give me 1 pair. That would give me another pair. And they don't have to be on the same card for it to match up with those symbols. So that hammer symbol is going to allow me, this player, to take a card and flip it over and essentially gain star value for build points. So those 2 right there would give 1, 2, 3, 4 points with just 2 cards worth of progress. So it's really good, and it could be big. I mean, if you have a lot of stars on the side, it could be incredibly, really big. If you have matching symbols of your heads, these little head token symbols, you are going to look down here, look up here, and match. These come into your play area, and they begin to add to an attack value or also a purchase value for build. So they are wild tokens. And again, the wheats are going to allow you to put wheat on a card that has the picture of the wheat, and you just keep collecting wheat until one time you say, I want to spend all the wheat, and that particular card, it flips over to the gray side, becomes fallow, but for every token you had, you draw 2 more cards in the draw phase, in that card dealing phase. And again, you want to get 15 of these, which is this symbol down here. You gather those at the start of your turn, or you want to do an attack. So if this person has unlocked their defense missiles, the BBB, they essentially have 3 strength. They could use all 3 of them if they want, or just one of them. And they can attack this card down here that's got a 4. And they would have a card in this area because it's their conflict pile. You have to have a conflict pile and a build pile. You flip that over and you look at the stars. And the stars are what you count to see, did I meet that threshold of this? Of course, supplementing with your little coin symbol, your little head symbol. And that is essentially the game, and you keep on doing it. So now this player is going to go, well, they don't have the Kremlin and the communism, but still, you know what I'm saying? They don't have these cards out here. They've just simply got these. They're like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Can't look at my cards, and now I've got to determine, I definitely want to put 1 pile into my conflict because I can go after the missile base. I want to put some cards over here into build so I can maybe build these cards. So let's do 2, and I've got all these cards to build with. What do I have? Oh, I have a CIA. I can pay 2 cards here to splay it, and now I have the ability on this side, and I've got the ability on this side to attack with, and I've got a key. I can put this right there into my space by paying 1 card, and I unlock A's. Well, guess what? My defense missile needs B's, and this card is incredibly vulnerable to attacks. It's very, very easy to attack. That's why it's easy to get out. So if this unlocks my A cards, my opponent's going to want to come after it. But it doesn't give a destroyed symbol because there is no progress symbol on it. So remember that your destroy 3 buildings needs to have that symbol on it for you to get the destroy. One more thing that I want to point out to you is that you can do what's called that exhaust action. And I want to show you what all 3 of those exhaust actions are. Here it is. So exhaustion token. So if you ever, let me show you this up close, put 7 or more cards into your build pile, and you it says here, do not include special build moves or harvest. That means you are putting 7 of your 8 cards into your build pile. You take an exhaustion, but you're building up for next turn. Or if you flip over, discard 7 cards or more when attacking with conflict cards, you'll take an exhaustion. Or if you choose the tactics option from a hand of 7 or more cards, meaning you do not act on your turn, and you are placing one of the cards in your hand into your conflict pile because you know it's got good stars. For example, you have this right here. You say, I've got the dock in my hand. It's 5 points of sure damage. I can choose to not play anything from my hand, put this card face up into my build pile, or into my conflict pile, knowing that if I need to attack with my defense missile, if it's unlocked, I can then kill a card that has 5 or fewer, and then it's done. And I could just do the missile base, done, get a destroy on it. They never even got to activate it. It's really cool. So this is just this deck. You got a little flavor for the 2 different decks here, but there's so much to enjoy. Every time you feel like you're about to be defeated, or it's hopeless, or the person has got something really, really good because their deck is allowing them to do something, do not count yourself out. This game has a nice amount of flux. I have found that there are ways for players to feel like they're surging at times, and if you are, in my opinion, slow and steady, and you are really watching your opponent and trying to make progress yourself, generally that's a pretty good strategy. But I will say, if you can push hard and you can take your fellow opponent unawares, you could win the game in just 2 or 3 rounds. There are some moves here that really, really benefit aggressive play and bold play, but it's risky. because if your opponent can respond to it, they can essentially take down your very obvious push to win the game. There's so much to like here. There's so much to like here. And I have to say, just keep playing with the decks, keep trying out these different factions. And it is kind of like that endless deck. Like you have a deck and you're playing with your deck. It kind of just goes back to like old deck building games. It goes back to like curating a deck like Magic. But in this case, they have designed these decks so well that you could pair them with either any other opponent and it works incredibly well. And I will say the thing that makes this magical is that this deck comes with 10 of those conflict cards that you put into your opponent's deck that is shuffled in, and those are the cards that come out. So the decks start to feel like they really are well matched to each other, and the themes are incredibly strong here. It is just a really fun game, and again, high emotions for me. I get wild, I get crazy in this game, and it's fun. Like, I hope it's fun. I hope my husband's still having fun. But it is exciting, and from round to round, you are essentially hedging your bets with certain kinds of plays. You are building up for a really big play. You are hoping that you can see particular cards. You're trying to constantly generate resources, which require, again, the resource card at the top of your player area matched with the card you have played into your bottom area where you play your cards. And then if those match up, you gain those resources. And all the resources are really, really helpful. So, I mean, like, it's just a really well-balanced game. It's super thematic, it's fun, and it's fast. 30 to 90 minutes. I think the 90 minutes is for the 3 to 4 player games. But for me in a 2-player game, this goes for 30 minutes. And you want to play again right away. Dynamite, clear iconography, fun game. I honestly just can't get enough of Era. A fun historical card game. Okay. I will see you later, folks. Bye.